Got it.
All right, so we have Linda Black, and her title is Building Character-Based Communities. So, thank you.
Welcome to Live on Purpose Radio with Dr. Paul Jenkins, where you will hear inspiring stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
Hello, my name is the very braggadocious Kevin Ford. I'm your host today on Live on Purpose Radio, filling in for Dr. Paul Jenkins. Welcome to Living Your Life on Purpose. Today's guest is Virtues Project facilitator and trainer, Linda Black from Alpine, Utah. The Virtues Project is a global grassroots initiative to inspire the practice of virtues in everyday life, sparking a global revolution of kindness, justice, and integrity in more than 100 countries through facilitators, master facilitators, champions, and virtues connections. Here to explain more about this initiative is Linda Black, a certified facilitator of the Virtues Project. Linda, tell us about the Virtues Project, what it is, and how it can positively impact our communities.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for having me on your show. I'm a big fan of Live on Purpose and a big fan of Dr. Jenkins. So it's a huge honor to be here. The Virtues Project is, sharing with your listeners today, is a grassroots initiative that was founded by Dr. Popov and his wife Linda Popov, Dan and Linda, and it was born out of necessity of not seeing people being cared for in the older community. And so they developed a system and strategies whereby people would be listened to, heard, and feel like they are purposeful in their life. So I'll explain a little bit more about that. Most of what we learn is soaked in when we're young. Agree?
I agree.
When we're little, our brain is like this big wet sponge, and we process everything about the world around us. And our parents say, and what our parents say and do, and what's taught in schools is a key factor in how we view ourselves and what we grow up thinking about ourselves. The Virtues Project is this defined set of tools we call strategies that, when used properly, motivate a child to learn faster, build their self-esteem, and open up a world of latent character building potential in each child. So I'm talking about the Virtues Project, and I want to segue a little bit between what a value and a virtue is. Value is what you spend your time on. I value cooking. That's not a virtue. A virtue would be purposely cooking. So a virtue is something that we can learn, and it's innate characteristic inside of us, like honor, decisiveness, strength, beauty. Those are virtues. The strategies in the Virtues Project are to teach us how to build these characters more distinctly in our lives. And there's 5. The first one is just speaking the language of the virtues. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was a parent and when I was growing up, and my parents, we didn't say things like, I see your purposefulness in setting the table and setting it with such beauty and clarity. That wasn't voiced in our family. Instead, it was good job, or good girl, or you're being quiet, or you're such a lazy kid sitting on the couch. There's a lot of naming and shaming that went along with growing up. And as a parent of 4, I probably did a little bit of the same. So this is kind of languaging or teaching ourselves to not pass on the name and shame game, but to really sit back and talk about what they can do instead. So what they can instill instead. Recognizing teachable moments would be the second strategy. So when somebody does do something great, we can say, that was so helpful bringing me the diaper for your little brother. I appreciate that. So we can just honor what's going on. Setting clear boundaries, and as a parent who gets frustrated when you set boundaries, and when we set a curfew or we set we outline what we want the family dynamics to be, and kids always push that boundary. So it's about how to set clear boundaries. Honoring the spirit is number 4, and offering spiritual companion is the 5th strategy. All of which are gone to more in depth when we have community-based parenting classes, which I do offer. So I want to kind of open it up to the studio audience to maybe they might have questions about how they would get in touch with, or what they would do with the Virtues Project, or how it would be appropriate in their life. So if we could take some studio audience questions, or if you have some questions yourself.
Anyone want to call in with a question? Feel free to dial up. We'll pick up right here. Yes, what's your name?
Jill Tindy.
Okay.
I missed number 3 and number 5. I was taking notes, and I was wondering if you would say.
So this is a really quick overview, and I should preface out with, but number 3 is setting clear boundaries.
Okay.
And they mesh together, they kind of morph, but to delineate it, the 5th one is offering spiritual companioning, which is really the art of listening deeply and connecting to what somebody is saying, to allow them to empty their cup and come up with their own results, their own, what they need to do to fix it, right? So instead of listening and then jumping into fix, we listen and allow that person the opportunity to fix their own problem, because they are deeply listened to, which is very cool. We have other questions?
You would,
Go.
Carolyn, so you had mentioned that you work with youth with older people. Did I hear you mention something about that, or
So
connecting?
yes, it was very much brought into, Linda Papa was a social worker and went into these places, care facilities, and what she noticed was the elderly were not being listened to, and that's where she developed the spiritual companioning portion of the strategies. It's kind of a morph, but it's in 1991, that's when it was all founded, and these were set in motion, and so that we can disseminate them to people. But they're used in leadership opportunities in corporations, and how to work with your team members. They're also brought together in parenting classes, which I'll be doing in a few weeks, and I would invite the listeners to jump in to that. And then also in schools. So there's a lot of initiatives in our schools where we take this in and we educate the educators on how to interact using the virtue strategies with their children in classrooms, which is a beautiful thing.
Do we have any other callers?
Sure. So, can you give an example of when you go in to teach someone the Virtues Project, how much time you spend with them, teaching them how to do it, and how much time does it take to see an impact of your teaching of the Virtues Project?
This is a really good question, like how long does it take to learn? The learning curve on just speaking the language of the virtues, for me, it's been like 2 years. We don't have programs that go that long, but what we do offer in the parenting course is 3 2.5-hour sessions that are each a week apart. So you go home and practice, and then we have group dynamics, active facilitation, hands-on experience, role-playing, modeling, that helps you develop this at a little quicker pace. Same thing in a company, I would organize it into 3 to 6 month sections. So we would process each strategy once a month and have tools that and exercises that they would do in the workforce. Very good question.
We have time for 0 to 1 more questions. if anybody else has one.
My name's Ryan. So at the beginning you said you defined virtue and values.
Yes.
And virtue was, or value was when you something you, like it's important to you, you value it, right?
What we value, you can look around, and what people spend their time on is what they usually value. A virtue is more of a characteristics like being caring, cleanliness, commitment, compassion, joyfulness, justice, integrity. It's something that you can see in somebody.
Okay. And
Yes,
so
and thank you.
you work with building those virtues.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, thank you so much today, and it was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Honored.